Okay. So my name is Jessica, and I'm one of the English teachers here at Graduation Alliance. And tonight we're going to be focusing specifically on English 12 Semester 1, assignment 8.3.1. But as lead up to that, we're going to be going over Ethos briefly, Ethos, Pathos, and Logos, which are known as the three types of persuasion, which if you've taken any English class here at Graduation Alliance, you'll have heard about. And then specifically looking at Pathos, the 4 ways that we can use that. Now, these 2 learning goals, the first 2, are great for any English class that is offered here at Graduation Alliance, or really any English class period. And then this assignment from semester 1, that specific assignment, how they apply there. So which English class are you enrolled in right now?
English 12.
Perfect. So this will be right up your alley. So again, if at any time you have any questions, anything you want to talk more about, feel free to let me know. And that's what we're here for.
Sorry. I'm in English 11.
Oh, still okay. The Ethos, Pathos, and Logos is all over the place. So that's what the majority of this focus is on. So, and then of course, again, still any questions you might have, I am more than happy to talk with you about. So, okay, so to get started with, just a quick review of the 3 methods of persuasion. So when we say persuasion, we mean how do we get other people to agree with us? How do we get other people to go along with our ideas, do what we want them to do, all of those things. And persuasion comes in the case. I personally have I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. They already try to persuade me all the time about bedtime and snacks and all of those things. So simple stuff when we're working with family members, all the way up to really often when we see in advertising in our day and age, there's a lot of rhetoric or persuasion. Aristotle, this here, is an ancient Greek philosopher from 2 centuries, 2,000 years actually, before Christ, that wrote extensively about ethos, what he called ethos, pathos, and logos. And those are the 3 methods of persuasion we still go with today. When we talk about someone's ethos, that's like their ethic, how credible is someone, or the argument that they're presenting. Logos is the logic. Does this just even sound right when something gets explained? And then what we're going to focus on today is the pathos. Pathos is appealing to people's emotions. Really, when you're going after tugging on someone's heartstrings, really trying to get their emotions involved to be able to persuade them to do whatever it is that you would like them to do. So that's what we'll focus on, are the 4 types of pathos and the best ways to appeal to people's emotions. So again, just a quick reminder, pathos is that appeal to how people feel, getting people, getting them right in the heart or really right in the gut. And I always think of the Humane Society ads that you see all the time, like this one, that dog saying, "Will you be my hero?" Do you really want to tell a dog no? That's just not something that anyone wants to do. So that's an example of that emotion in play, of how do we persuade people by tugging at the heartstrings. One of the things about pathos is it's incredibly effective, but at the same time, you want to be very careful, because I don't know if you've ever been in that position where someone is trying to take advantage of you, that someone might be manipulating your feelings or manipulating your emotions to get you to do what you want, what they want. But that's what we need to be really careful with pathos, is it is powerful, but if you go too far, most people are aware that, oh my gosh, you're just manipulating me and trying to make me feel a certain way emotionally. So there is a lesson in English 12, Unit 8, that really focuses in specifically on pathos. And the first two that we're going to review really quickly, I know you're in English 11, but this is, again, understanding what Pathos is and how it works are really effective and helpful no matter what English class you're taking. All of them tend to circle around at some point to Ethos, Pathos, and Logos. And then we'll go ahead and we can look at an example from this specific assignment from English 12, but we'll keep that short since you'll be there soon, but not right now. So 8.2, this specific lesson in English 12, has this video. We won't watch it, but I'll recap it for you. This 4-minute video from the University of Maryland, Baltimore Writing Center that talks about how to use Pathos carefully, like that. Don't go too overboard on it. How do we make Pathos something that is persuasive but not manipulative? And so there's a great video where they give some examples. And then the recap video, or the recap activity for that, I'm sure you've seen these types of activities in your classes as well, is you would click each card and the card gives you an example to sort into this pile. So I'm just going to show you the definition of each one of these. So we have Pathos, we know, is persuading people through emotions. And then the 4 types of pathos or appeals to pathos that are strong are concrete examples, connotative diction or word choice, metaphors and similes, and tone. So concrete examples, these are really important to give specifics that the audience can relate to. So an example that was given in that video from the prior lesson is, if you have, are you on the West Coast or are you Midwest?
I'm in Midwest.
Okay, but I'm sure you've heard probably about like all the fires happening in California, or like the hurricanes, say. Yeah. So we've had so many disasters, right? And so everyone knows that those are really bad. And you might hear a news story that's like, 25 homes were destroyed in one neighborhood. And you can think about that and understand, wow, 25 homes in one neighborhood, that's terrible. But then if you hear the story about, the 27-year-old mother of 3 whose husband was deployed with the military at the time that the hurricane came through and destroyed their home on Christmas Eve or whatever it was, that very specific, very concrete details of, now this isn't just a house in a neighborhood, but I know that it's a mom whose husband is serving in the military, who has small kids. It's all of those specifics that start helping the audience relate to, oh man, this really is bad. So the more you know, again, specifics to help your audience relate to whatever emotional situation or emotional scenario you're appealing to. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to click those there. So the next one is your tone. You can really set the tone in writing is your attitude towards the subject. And I'm sure, are you a parent yourself at all?
Huh?
Or what's that?
Can you repeat it one more time?
Are you a parent yourself?
No, ma'am, no kids.
But I'm sure you've seen that, or you maybe had that experience as a kid where you thought you were being respectful, like the words coming out of your mouth were okay, but then you get told like, hey, you need to watch your tone.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. It's like how we relate to other people, and just the tone and attitude that you can convey. So it's important when you're trying to do that emotional appeal that you have a appropriate tone, appropriate attitude of trying to get people to listen to you or understand the argument that you are creating. Metaphors and similes, you've probably heard of those before. They're the comparisons. A simile, oh gosh, I always get these, I'm an English teacher and I always get these next steps. A simile is using like or as, comparing two things, and a metaphor is just a straight comparison. And a good example, again, this comes from that video from the University of Maryland is you might say that, like, you know, texting in class, when you're actually in a classroom with a professor or teacher, texting is disrespectful. That's okay, sure, that's true, and I understand that, but what if someone tells you texting while your professor's talking is a slap in the face?
It is.
That gives you a much deeper understanding. Or like texting when someone is talking to you is like flipping them off. Like it just like makes that so clear that like, oh, okay, I get it. So when you can use metaphors, similes, comparisons to really help someone understand the feeling, that's a big one in helping pathos come through, making people connect and understand and feel. And then the last one, this is my favorite one to play with when I am writing myself. So connotative diction is a fancy way of saying reading between the lines of your word choice. So there's a denotative definition is like the dictionary definition of a word. If you look it up, what does it say? The connotation is when you use a word that just like, they mean the same thing, but the connotation is a different thing. So if someone, say you're in a job interview, right? And they ask you, so how would you describe your ability to work with others? And if you say, I'm assertive, when you say assertive, you mean, you know, I speak up, I make my opinion known, and that's usually a positive thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could also call someone who makes their opinion known really aggressive.
Yes.
And so assertive and aggressive, dictionary-wise, if we're talking about the dictionary definition, they mean basically the same thing. But when you talk about the connotation of assertive, that's positive. We like when people express their opinions. Or aggressive, which, okay, maybe you're expressing too much now. We need to slow that down. That's the difference with the connotation of what does that really mean? You know, reading between the lines. What is the dictionary definition of the word? That might be one thing. But when you read between the lines, what does that really actually mean? And so when you play with the emotional meaning of words that way, it helps you create that, you know, talks about creating that correct tone and providing concrete examples that your audience can relate to on an emotional level.
Right.
That's the general stuff on pathos. Is there any questions on that you might have?
No.
Okay, I have to show you one specific example. This is like a preview, a little teaser for you of when you get to English 12, after you finish up English 11. But there's a great speech. We're not going to watch it. There's a great speech.
That movie, that bird.
Yeah, you've seen him before. He is amazing. So Wes Moore, this guy right here, he's like a military veteran and a business CEO and all of that. But he grew up really, really poor, got himself in some trouble with the police, lost his dad at a young age. His mom shipped him off to military school when he was 11 because he just needed that much instruction. And he wrote this book in that his name's Wes Moore, and he's from, I think, Baltimore, Maryland. And then he read a news story about a kid named Wes Moore from Baltimore, Maryland, who ended up like in prison for a very long time for breaking the law. And his whole thing was, okay, well, what were the differences? You're both Wes Moore from Baltimore, Maryland. What were the differences in our life? And so he gives a whole speech on that where he uses a lot of pathos. He uses a lot of emotional appeal in there to help people understand what he has to say about how, you know, your life is your own and you can make your own decisions. And even though you make mistakes, you can always come back from them and find a way to move forward. And then the activity that goes along with that is taking, okay, we know what pathos is. Now let's apply it to this speech and see what we can find. And so really it's to tuck this away for when you're in English 12, take really good notes on the different types of pathos, and then you just identify them in there. So this is an example asking to identify a concrete detail. So Wes Moore talks a lot about his mom as very influential in his life. And all of these are things that he said in the speech, but the question is asking which of these is a concrete detail, one of those specific examples that helps you understand, really understand and connect with how much his mother meant to him, right? And so there's, I loved my mother. My mother sacrificed everything for us kids. My mother wore sweaters so we could wear coats. And so in that case, which one do you think provides the most detail to help you understand how much his mom really loved her kids?
C?
Absolutely. Yep. All of them show how much she means. Yep, you got it. All of them show how much she means to him, how much she would sacrifice for her kids. But it's that, like, he can say, hey, I love my mom. My mom sacrificed everything for us. Absolutely. But when you know, especially when you watch the whole speech, you know, like, he grew up in Baltimore. They get really cold winters there, bad weather. And this is a woman who gave up wearing a coat. Like, she would just wear a sweater so that then her own children could have a coat to wear, even though she couldn't. So that's that example of a concrete detail that really helps understand what the story or the message is. So excellent, you got it. You understand that. So that's all I have as far as like scripted, what I wanted to share and cover. Do you have any questions from English 11 that I can help you with, or any general questions with graduation alliance that's bugging you?
Not really, but it's like I'm doing 2 classes right now, which is let me see, which is English 11 semester 1. I'm starting that now, and then health semester.
Okay.
But when I looked at my thing, it's just telling me my upcoming courses, which is algebra 2. So if once I'm done with that upcoming class, like, is there any more classes do I have to take, or will because I have to take 3 OGTs, and my first one's in January. So, you know, it's like the work is okay, you know, I'm getting my credits or what have you, but it's like these OGTs really, like, I don't know if they hard, but it's just like I be taking my time, and then I be practicing, and I can be ready, think I'm ready, and think I'm a pass, and then when the results come, it's just a bummer sometimes because you don't know if
absolutely.
you pass them or not, and you're doing all this work, you know what I mean, and it's just like that's the only thing that's keeping me back.
Yeah. Well, as far as what classes will come next, each student's path is very individualized, like your goals and what you're trying to achieve in terms of, are you completing your diploma? Are you doing credit retrieval? What's that? So I would really encourage you to talk, if you haven't already, talk to your academic coach about which classes are next, how exactly is that going to work for you specifically to meet the goals that you want to meet. They're the specialists there. If you're feeling, and this is huge, you know, I have so much respect for our students that come and go to school online, because that's such a big responsibility when you're self-directed and, you know, you're doing this on your own. Even though you're working in, you know, at your home or in the library or wherever you might be, you do have a real live human teacher for every class that you take. So make sure that if you feel frustrated, if you feel stuck, you're just not getting it, email them right away, or like send them a chat message right away and just say, hey, I'm in your class and I'm stuck on this assignment, or how can I better prepare for this type of exam, or whatever it is that might be giving you trouble. And I know I get really excited when I get those emails from students, because it's so nice to be like, hey, I'm so happy to be here and help you, and we can get through this. So that's a big thing there. Even though you're online and self-directed, you do have real life teachers, real life academic coaches here to help you. And we try to be as proactive as we can on our end to reach out to students, but never hesitate, never second guess yourself or slow yourself down from just shooting that email or that chat message and saying, I could really use some help or some guidance on this. And I guarantee anyone would be happy to help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you? So you said you're just starting English 11?
Yeah, my current grade so far is an 82.
Hey, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so
That's
I've
really
been
good.
putting in some work, man. Taking 2 classes at once is really freaking crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
it's a lot to stand up.
I'm almost done with them. Like I break them down. Like I do half
Yep.
and then do the half and then just finish it all. I'm I'm trying to get through this English. It's just this Romeo and Juliet thing is really crazy and it's very long.
It is.
I didn't know
the
it
big
was
thing
that long.
Yeah. The big thing I always try to remember with Romeo and Juliet is like, so Shakespeare, it's Old English, it sounds all fancy, but he honestly, when he was writing those plays in the 1500s, it was like our TV writers today who are writing like Modern Family or, whatever sitcom for us to watch on TV. So there's always like, if you can hunt through the language to find like that storyline, it becomes a lot easier to understand because then you understand like, oh, okay, this is really, he is like talking about pathos and emotion. Shakespeare's trying to get people to want to keep paying money to come to his plays, right? So he's trying to really draw them in with a storyline.
Right.
So it is hard though to try and get past that language sometimes.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Sometimes the rough drafts, it's like I want to break it down to where I don't have to like write like 10 paragraphs. You know what I mean? I just broken down like similar. So, because I have carpal tunnel in my hand, and when I be typing and sometimes my hand starts to act crazy, and I just like
that hurts.
Yeah,
that hurts.
So I just be trying to do more like just break down the basically breaking down like in just to like one sentence per, like them just put up the main things.
Yeah. Yep. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I was in English 11. But the people who designed the curriculum, I know they tried to really scaffold it for you, like set it out so it's like, okay, you can do an outline and then you can do a draft. And it's really tempting to skip the outline or rush through it because it feels kind of like busy work. But if you take the time to do that first, it really saves you a lot at the end. By the time you get to doing that final draft, then there's less to, you've already done so much work already that it's just polishing up finishing touches sort of thing.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like though, if you have an 82%, you are doing really well and really getting it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't like trying to be, trying to keep good grades. Like, I don't want anything. I really don't want a D, but I got a D on like, I don't know if it's like 1D, but I don't have any Fs since I've been working on here. Like like last year around October, and I have not had any Fs or like it's just like 2 Ds. The rest is C's and D's.
Right. So you were doing a really high level there, and it's sorry, my kid's just walking. Okay. Sorry, they busted back in. That focus on each individual assignment, I think, is hugely helpful to you because it can be overwhelming to look at like, oh my gosh, I really want an A or a B in the class, but there's so many steps to go. Just keep in mind it's the little assignments that build up to your final grade. And so if you just take it that one assignment at a time, then you're going to end up with something to be really proud of at the end with the work that you put in.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can retake them over, then so it's like
10:30.
Yeah.
So it's really cool though. But sometimes I'd be like, man, but I gotta get it done.
It doesn't have to be perfect. You are doing a lot, putting a lot on your plate, taking 2 classes at a time, coming back to school, doing all of that. One of my favorite quotes is, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. So like, it's awesome that you're pushing yourself, you're striving, you want to perform as best you can, but you have a big life outside of school too. And so, you know, do the best that you can, respect yourself to do that, but know that you have other priorities too. And you're just doing awesome completing your classes, and a B is a really great grade to be proud of, that you can spend that effort and get those outcomes.
Right. Yeah, you gotta really pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Any other questions I can help you with?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and spending your time here. I would really encourage you. You mentioned being in your Algebra 2 class. There are math tutoring sessions too, and the math teachers here are great.
It's one tomorrow at 5:00 my time Eastern. I wrote them down so I won't forget, because I have to take for the because I have to take OGT this month on the 29th. So like, I need that in order to like pass my OGT, because when you go up there, you can take any OGT you want, so it don't have to be in order, or whatever you want to take.
Yeah.
So I'd rather like practice for the math, because that's something I'm really.
Yeah. Exactly. You know? Yeah, it's a challenge. So, but definitely pop into those as often as you can, the tutoring sessions for math, and they'll get you set up and really help you out that way.
Okay.
So. All right. Well, have a wonderful night.
You too.
And good luck with everything. And like I said, feel free. Always make sure you email or message your teachers if you ever have a question, because everyone here is happy to help.
No problem.
Okay. Good luck. Keep working hard. I know you'll do great.
Okay.
Have a great. See you later. Bye.